1984, first time in this particular Mundakai location, and 2020 the second time. Now this is 24 is again repeated. So it shows that these areas are highly vulnerable. So existing people need to be evacuated with a good package from that location so that their life and livelihood can be secured in future. And also any kind of future development that foresee this kind of mountain regions beauty and everything, I think it is not going to help anyway to the local people,
Yeah.
because of the global climate change, the rainfall pattern has completely changed. We are receiving extremely heavy rainfall in 24 hours time. So we none of the mountain slopes can ever protect the overburden. Means
All right.
the trees and the
Okay.
soil on top of that is going to slide. So
All
we
right.
have to take a very serious steps to save the people living in that area.
All
With
right.
more money need to be pumped in to relocate people from that area. That is the only solution for these kind of regions in the country.
All right, and I'm taking a break, but when I come back, I'll go to Sridhar Radhakrishnan for more information as to what is subsidence and land subsidence, that is, and pretty much like what Vishnudas said, don't live there, relocate people. But is it going to be possible? We shall discuss that after I come back, and we are going to talk about more on the havoc that the landslides have created in Wayanad in Kerala.
इस खेल में खेला होगा, हर नहले पे दहला होगा। टीम बड़ा है, स्टेज बड़ा है, पूरा भारत साथ खड़ा है। साथ खड़ा है। गेम बड़ा है। Dribble like a rap, pass, setting up the trap. Kick it hard in the booth. Chuck, they football. Saturday football. Saturday football. Saturday football.
Over 20 healthcare trailblazers and leaders. 6 engaging sessions. 6 hours of engrossing conversations. Top trending healthcare issues. The Healthcare Summit 2024. An initiative by the TV9 network and South First. Streaming on 3rd of August, only on News9.
For the very first time in our investigation, we unmasked the killer of Ravindra Matre.
In 5G, we have to stand with the world, and in 6G, we have to lead the world.
Winning a Grammy was an absolutely surreal experience.
This is News9 Live, India's only digital exclusive live stream. For the early adopters, bringing you the news 24/7. For the smart audiences on the smartest TVs. News9 Live. Stream now on your smart TVs.
For the very first time in our investigation, we unmasked the killer of Ravindra Matre.
In 5G, we have to stand with the world, and in 6G, we have to lead the world.
Winning a Grammy was an absolutely surreal experience.
$20,000 people dead and counting. What's happening in the United States of America is unprecedented. You will have to pay for this.
That's the only story that the nation is talking about, the havoc of Wayanad landslides, nearly 93 people dead so far. I'm being joined by C.K. Vishnudas, Director, Hume Center for Ecology, and also Sridhar Radhakrishnan, Environment and Climate Policy Observer. Sridhar, let me come to you. The thing is that I've read reams and reams about it. Everything says the same thing. Like, I think Vishnu Das has said a very strong thing. They just evacuate every family. That terrain is not fit for habitation anymore. But just the vulnerability of it, explain it for the viewers that when rain falls on this, how the land kind of slides and there are fissures which are formed. And is it that the situation has become grave today because of very heavy rain, or you think part of the Western Ghats was always like this, Sridhar?
Okay, that's a good question. See, first of all, over the time, some of the regions in the Western Ghats are getting unstable, and there are quite a lot of understanding about it. The second critical point is that there is a massive land use change that has happened across many of these regions. When I say land use change, there can, I mean, I'm not specifically talking about this particular landslide, because one has to look at the reasons as to why it has happened in this particular place. But then land use changes have happened by unregulated and massive quarrying that is happening in a lot of these places. Constructions, which shouldn't be probably happening at all in these places, are happening in a lot. In this particular, panchayat itself, it has become one of the most tourist industry sought panchayat, which means that there are legally, with registration and more illegal tourist destinations that are being built up, even in the mountains, on the top of the mountains, on the sides of the mountains, and all of this are intensive constructions that are happening there. And along with it, obviously, a little bit of agricultural concerns also happen, because you can also get into unsustainable agriculture thing. But the most important concern is that, and that Vishnu has pointed out, is that over the time, rains are intensifying. It is not that there are more rains in a year, but that the rains are happening in such intensities that you're having 250, 300 millimeters of rain in a particular day, and that instantly soaks the land so much that in the weight of it, it gets carried down. It gets fallen.
Sridhar,
and I just want to add that Vishnu Das, Hume's as a foundation, which has been studying this for years together now, actually warned yesterday itself, and I must say, yesterday itself, both to the district administration and to the disaster management agency, that this particular place will fall or could fall today. And they did not heed the warning. They should have, and they should have evacuated the people.
That's a big one. That's a big one, Sridhar Radhakrishnan. Is that right, C.K. Vishnu Das, that you had warned yesterday and the authorities did not pay heed? What's the point then? Having, think tanks like yours which tell people this is what we have studied, because Hume has done a lot of work on this.
Yeah, I have given yesterday morning and day before, I think 4 days back, I have given the first warning that the low-lying area is going to be flooded in Wayanad. And yesterday morning, we have given a particular information about this particular location, that Mundakai is going to have a landslide. So that is already given to the district administration and other authorities. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard this first here. Hume Center for Ecology warned the authorities, particularly about Mundakai, but no proactive action was taken on this entire matter, and let the politicians and other politicians come there and talk about rescue and rehabilitation, but there is no proactiveness. Let's listen into Pinarayi Vijayan, Chief Minister of Kerala, what he's saying, and then I get back to this debate.
പരിക്കേറ്റ് വിവിധ ആശുപത്രികളിൽ 128 പേർ ചികിത്സയിലുണ്ട്. ഇന്നലെ രാത്രി ഉറങ്ങാൻ കിടന്നവരാണ് എല്ലാവരും. ആ ഘട്ടത്തിലാണ് കുഞ്ഞുങ്ങളടക്കമുള്ളവർക്ക് നേരം പുലരുന്നതിന് മുൻപ് ഇത്തരമൊരു സംഭവത്തിൽപ്പെട്ട് ജീവൻ നഷ്ടപ്പെട്ട് മണ്ണിൽ പുതഞ്ഞു പോയത്. ഒട്ടേറെ പേർ ഒഴുകിപ്പോയിട്ടുണ്ട്. മലപ്പുറം ജില്ലയിൽ നിലമ്പൂരിനടുത്ത് പോത്തുകല്ലിൽ ചാലിയാറിൽ നിന്ന് 16ഓളം പേരുടെ മൃതദേഹങ്ങൾ കണ്ടെത്താനായിട്ടുണ്ട്. അതിനു പുറമെ ശരീരഭാഗങ്ങളും ചിലത് കണ്ടെത്താൻ കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ട്. 34 മൃതദേഹങ്ങളാണ് ഇതിനകം തിരിച്ചറിഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ളത്. 18 മൃതദേഹങ്ങൾ ബന്ധുക്കൾക്ക് വിട്ടു നൽകിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഇന്ന് വൈകുന്നേരം ലഫ്റ്റനൻ്റ് കേണലിൻ്റെ നേതൃത്വത്തിലുള്ള സൈനിക ടീം ഈ പുഴ മുറിച്ച് കടന്ന് മുണ്ടക്കൈയിലെ മാർക്കറ്റ് മേഖലയിലെത്താൻ കഴിഞ്ഞു. അവിടെ കുടുങ്ങിക്കിടക്കുന്ന പരിക്കേറ്റവരുണ്ട്. അവരെ മുഴുവൻ ആളുകളെയും രക്ഷപ്പെടുത്തി ഈ പുറത്തേക്ക് എത്തിക്കുന്ന വടംകെട്ടി എത്തിക്കുന്നൊരു കേന്ദ്രമുണ്ട്. ആ കേന്ദ്രത്തിലേക്ക് എത്തിച്ചിരിക്കുകയാണ് അവരെ മുഴുവൻ. അപ്പോൾ പരിക്കേറ്റ് കിടക്കുന്നവരെ മുഴുവൻ അവിടുന്ന് മാറ്റാൻ കഴിഞ്ഞു എന്നുള്ള വാർത്തയാണ് ഇപ്പോൾ ഏറ്റവും ഒടുവിൽ ലഭിച്ചിട്ടുള്ളത്.
Sridhar Radhakrishnan, I want to ask you that you said that, both of you and Vishnudas, both of you have said very clearly that this region is of course very vulnerable and people should be evacuated. I want to ask you, there is cardamom grown there, there are tea estates, also paddy. It's been observed that a lot of landslides or land slippage happens close to the paddy fields. That's what experts have said. Our research team was working on it since morning. I want to ask you, when construction happens, where are these politicians? Where is the Gram Panchayat? Where are the village folk? Because today it is being seen that it's become the usual debate between development and conservation. They want to make a fast buck, so okay, let me build a small resort or a hotel. But the thing is that how do they procure permission for this, Sridhar? That's what really intrigues me, because like you said, 2018 we saw it, I saw it. Again we've seen it. So many people, those who are dead must be really marginalized and poor people, not some politicians' relatives, Sridhar Radhakrishnan.
The first point that I want to say here in response to what you asked is that this is a very clearly designated as an ecologically sensitive zone, as Vishnudas was also saying. The second point is that 14 years ago, there was this, what is called the Madhav Gadgil report on looking at how we can sustain and retain the Western Ghats and its richness. We completely ignored the report. In fact, we have trashed the report. We have not considered it at all, in spite of it coming from one of the most well-known ecologists in the country. The third point I want to say is that the government, unfortunately, is continuing to push for both the tourism industry to thrive in this very, very dangerous, risk-prone region. But not only that, and here I must bring to your attention something very, very important. See, the very same region, they are planning to, and it's been clear, it's been approved, they are planning to build a tunnel boring about 6.9 kilometers, boring right through the same mountains across into the Kozhikode region. Can you imagine? The public, there is a lot of environmentalists raised concerns. The environmental assessments also raised concerns. But the government of Kerala is pushing through this very, very dangerous project on the same vulnerable hills. 7 kilometers right through this, they're going to build a tunnel road. Can you imagine that? So the apathy towards environmental concerns, towards ecological integrity issues, etc., not only comes from bureaucracies who keep pushing all these things, but unfortunately from politicians and others across board, whoever it is.
Right.
Political pressure. And that is what we are seeing. Unfortunately, we should understand that even when people cannot live in this, you cannot even touch this in terms of, because of its risk, because of its vulnerabilities.
Right.
Let's at least listen to the environment and ecology and what nature is saying in these cases.
Absolutely. You referred, C.K. Vishnudas, if I can have you on the screen. Sridhar Radhakrishnan referred to the Madhav Gadgil report. Of course, there's also a Kasturi Rangan report, if I'm not wrong, both of them. Now, the center apparently had notified 56,285 square kilometer of the land as sensitive, and the Kasturi Rangan panel had recommended that 13,108 be declared as sensitive, but the center brought down the notified area to less than 10,000 square kilometers. You see, there you have it, a crater of what the experts told you and what you ended up doing. C.K. Vishnudas, what is the way out? You work in this region. You know, people are now saying they are, I mean, this morning I had an environmentalist who lost his cool on me, and he said the people of Kerala have to be blamed. I will not do that. The people are helpless. They also need to live. But someone needs to listen. Who is going to bring back these 93 lives, C.K. Vishnudas? What is the way out? Tell us.
See, in every ecological unit, when you see a human society cannot live in isolation. We need a certain part of nature as an intact for our own sustainable living. So in that case, in every village or every district, we should keep certain areas intact and no-go areas where they are stable and provide the vital systems for our living. For example, the water and other sources of biodiversity, and these are important. So the whole idea of conservation thinking in India, especially about Western Ghats and all that, certain areas of Western Ghats should be protected as it is. So these are one of such area where we have to protect for our own future generation. So in that way, these mountains are very, very significant in terms of biodiversity and this kind of stuff. So development should also
I think we've lost our connection to Vishnu Das there. Let me go to Sridhar Radhakrishnan. Sridhar, tell me, what I was asking Vishnu Das, if you can complete his point in the sense, to my question, what is the way out? The collusion is taking place. There is a huge climate change we are all witnessing, not only in the Western Ghats, which are extremely vulnerable, but you see every day, we see it in Uttarakhand, we see it in the mountains regularly in the north. We are covering stories. People are stuck in tunnels. It takes you 17 days to bring them out, etc., etc. But what is the way out, Sridhar Radhakrishnan? Are there going to be more deaths? Are politicians going to kind of, stand up in parliament and say all the good cliched things?
Yeah, it's a very, very painful question. I mean, it's at least giving me a lot of pain. See, the point of this, I'll continue from what Vishnudas said. The sensitivity with which we have to approach our own settlements, our places where we have to live, have been very clearly shown by the environment. There are certain places that have to be kept intact so that we'll be able to live peacefully in other kinds of places. Point one. Point two, and that's very critical. By some great thought, we have had also politicians and people who understood this concern and put up committees like the Madhav Gadgil committee. They have come up with a report. And as you pointed out the numbers, what did the government of Kerala and the government and all of them connive together and did? They brought in a Kasturi Rangan committee and completely, watered down the protection regime from the ecological sensitive zones of 50,000+ acres. They brought it down. And then again, the state government put another committee and further brought it down to the level that protection becomes completely meaningless. That's the second point. So the point here I'm trying to say is that we have to go back and visit the Madhav Gadgil committee and see whether we want to seriously conserve some of these areas. And the third most important point, unless our politicians, starting from the Prime Minister of India, down to governors and chief ministers and environmental ministers, if we are going to live in a compromising, regime where an environmental concern can be thrown out for development concerns or making money or whatever they're not going to sustain it. What I'm trying to say is that unless and until India and all the states have ecologically sensitive and conscious people, coming into the political leaderships and becoming ministers and prime ministers, if our prime minister is not ecologically sensitive or concerned, if our chief ministers are not going to be ecologically concerned and sensitive, we are going to live in a disaster.
Okay, before I close this show, let me go to Vishnu Das because he's back with us. Vishnu Das, why is there no punishment for such a thing? Why is this not a crime?
It's part of the system now. So if you look at the Indian systems, so nobody is being questioned after as an incident, something like this happened. We will have several reports, we will have a lot of packages, we will have a lot of packages, but we should make people also responsible for who's responsible and taking up responsibilities of these kind of incidents. So everybody is supposed to do some roles in managing.
Yeah, I know.
And do.
I think you guys as environmentalists and climate policy makers are doing a great job. But who's listening? I think it should be made a crime. Someone should stand up there and answer, why did we lose 93 people in the landslides in Wayanad and Kerala? Wayanad can't just be a political kind of a game to be played between politicians. On that note, thank you very much, Sridhar Radhakrishnan, for joining us, and C.K. Vishnudas, thank you indeed for joining us on this broadcast. And as promised, I leave you with some of the other top headlines from the south of India. Take a look.
Over 20 healthcare trailblazers and leaders. 6 engaging sessions. 6 hours of engrossing conversations. Top trending healthcare issues. The Healthcare Summit